a week ago, we were trying to get somebody that had the coronavirus on the podcast, and we were kind of, asking like, do you know for sure that you got the coronavirus? Like, were you tested? Did you get a positive result? Mm-hmm. And I know we were talking to you earlier in the week, and it wasn't a definitive positive test from the hospital or whatever, but it's as positive as it's going to get, pretty much.
Right.
So I don't know if you can explain to us a little bit about how, the situation and, how you determined that you had the coronavirus.
Right. Yeah. So I know I'm in New York City, and in New York City there are not a lot of tests. A lot of the urgent cares have run out of tests for days or even weeks at this point. Doctors are not testing for it. A lot of doctors are actually turning their patients away and saying, like, go to CityMD if you think you have coronavirus, or call 311. So I knew that on Wednesday last week, I was supposed to go to my gym to pick up some equipment. They were lending out equipment. And I woke up on Wednesday morning and I was coughing. Not a normal cough. Like, I felt like it was kind of deep and like throaty. I've always had like a history of just getting pretty bad coughs. So I just thought that it was a bad cough, especially because at that point I was quarantined at home for 5 or 6 days. So I was like, oh, it's not anything because it's just a cough. I thought it was postnasal drip or something.
Yeah.
And then as the day went on, I got more tired and, I started experiencing more of the symptoms. I got a fever. And so I started reaching out to a lot of my friends that are in the healthcare field, and they told me to not go to the emergency room, not go to the hospitals, because hospitals are just stretched so thin right now. They don't have, the manpower to test. And if you don't have it, you definitely get it. There was just a lot of uncertainty. So I did go to CityMD because I figured going to the hospital was just not a good idea, just because so many people are on ventilators and, there's trucks in New York City right now with people that are dead and stuff. I don't know. So I went to CityMD, and then the doctor that was there ran every test. So they did pneumonia scan. They did like a chest x-ray. They did a flu test. They swabbed me. They did a lot of those, I don't know, I guess just like other standard tests.
Right.
And they ruled everything else out.
Wow.
So they were like, you definitely don't have a cold. You definitely don't have the common flu. You definitely don't have, like bronchitis, things like that.
Right.
So then they were like, the only thing that it could be is COVID. And I had all the symptoms at that point. I had a fever. I had a cough. I had chills. I had body aches. So they were like, this is like as 98% sure as you're going to get it. And since I was in contact with people that did test positive, they were like, you have it.
So you were in contact with someone who tested positive?
Yes. One of my coworkers tested positive. A few of like people in my school, like I had some kids that their parents or family members or whatever. It's coming out now.
So you work for a school in New York?
Yes.
Okay,
so
gotcha.
You said that you were quarantined for 5 days, and then you started feeling some symptoms when you were going to go pick up stuff from the gym. The 5 days, was that just because New York City is kind of locked down and you guys and most people are kind of locking themselves in the house now? Or is it the school?
Yeah. So we our schools closed. I'm not sure what day exactly, but schools did close. And after schools closed, teachers went in for a few days within the week, just to like sort out what remote learning was going to look like, just so we kind of like worked with our departments and worked with the teachers to kind of figure stuff out. So I was in, like, schools closed, let's say this week it closed. I was in 3 of those days with some of the staff members. Not all of the staff members went. Some of them decided to self-quarantine at that point already.
Wow.
The last day that we were in school was Thursday, and I started to exhibit symptoms that following Wednesday. So 6 days later. Okay.
Wow. So.
Yeah.
And that was, you said that was Wednesday. That wasn't this past Wednesday. So it was like 10 days ago, was it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm like on day like 12, 13 at this point.
Well, I can tell you that I talked to you, a few days ago. It was like Wednesday or Thursday. And you sound a lot better today than you did when I talked to you a few days ago.
Yeah, I do feel like a lot better. I think there was for me personally, there were 2, maybe 3 days where I was really, really, really sick. And then after that second or third day, I just like progressively got better each day a little bit.
Yeah, I heard you tell Miguel that you felt like you were going to die at one point.
Yeah, I did. I did start planning my will.
Was it
28?
Was it because 28? That's what I was going to ask you. How old are you? 28. Okay.
Yeah.
And so during that time where you felt like, you were going to die, I mean, were you going through this alone? Because I know a lot of times that, that's what is needed. So were you going through this alone?
No. I mean, no, a lot of it is, like a communal effort as much as it can be. So a guy I'm seeing is staying with me because his parents have very fragile, I guess, health.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, like his parents are just older, and
so he was there.
I don't know, just so he was like, I'm going to stay with you, and I was like, yeah, that's totally fine. So he's been staying here, and then once I was pretty much confirmed, I was like, yeah, no, you can't go home. like
so
before that,
did
he was going home for stuff or whatever.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No. Okay. So how is he feeling? I mean, he's
sick now.
Okay.
To some extent, it seems like he's sick now. But I think I had the worst of it with fever and things like that. But like I was saying before, like I had my godmother dropping off groceries. I had friends dropping off like food or vitamins.
That's awesome.
Ordering things to my house. So like I was like, people were not coming into contact with me, but they would like ring the doorbell and like run away, and like from the end of the hallway they'd be like, hey, bye.
Right.
Yeah.
So at that point when you felt like
alone.
you were gonna die, is it just because of shortness of breath? Because I hear a lot of people are just stating like they couldn't catch their breath, like they couldn't breathe.
The thing that hurt me the most, I know that a lot of people say the coughing and shortness of breath is worse for them. For me, the worst of it was the fever and body aches. So I would my fever went up to 102 almost. It was like 101 point something, 8 maybe. And I was taking Tylenol, but my body was still hurting. I would wake up in the middle of the night sweating. And if I would wake up in the middle of the night, it was because I was so uncomfortable because my muscles were so stiff and so tense.
Wow.
Weird things hurt, like my knees hurt and my jaw. So it's my shoulders also, but like the shoulders where like the muscle is,
right,
not the joint. It was just weird
so crazy.
parts of my body.
Just like weird aches that.
And then
have you felt that before?
No.
Okay, so it's not like working out. It's like ache. Like
no.
You can feel it, like it's aching from being sick.
Did you lose your taste? Or
yes, I still don't have my taste.
You still really?
Yeah, no. I'm on day 13 and I still don't have my taste or my sense of smell. And
now,
my nostrils feel like there's like a weird, like an icy hot feeling in the airways, which I've heard from other people that are also confirmed that have experienced that.
So share with us that, because I can't imagine being able to not smell or taste. Have you lost some weight?
You know what?
No,
I don't
because
feel like
I'm like,
eating.
now I can eat all the healthy food.
Oh yeah, that's true.
That's a good one.
That's a good one.
That's awesome. Because now I can eat the
My
healthy.
friend brought me Cinnabons and I refuse to eat them until I can taste them.
You know what? You might as well bring the kale and all.
Right?
Right.
Wow.
No.
So one thing.
No, I can't taste. I have not been able to taste for.
So one thing you were saying was like at one point you felt like you were gonna die, and that is, I mean that's scary.
It is.
That
it's
is
very scary.
But what I wanted to ask you was, like at your sickest that you've ever been in your life, did this feel like that, or did you feel like you were? Was it like a mental thing also because you know what's happening out there?
Oh, that's a good point.
Like, do you think that maybe your mind ratcheted it up a little bit?
I think I definitely felt the sickest that I've ever felt. I've also never had the flu.
Okay.
So the guy I'm seeing had the flu in February, and his fever went up to 104. Like, and I was taking care of him last month.
Sucks. He just had the flu?
Yeah, and now he has COVID. Yeah, no, in February.
Let's get him on the phone. And now we would like to introduce.
Right?
Wow, that sucks, man.
Yeah, no. So he had the flu, and I never experienced what he experienced. So I don't have much to compare it to. Like, I would say I've had really bad coughs, and I have had pneumonia on and off, like as a kid and things like that. Which is another reason why I was so scared, because even this winter I had pneumonia earlier in the year. So I know I just have bad lungs. When I was a kid, I had, mild asthma. So I don't know. I was nervous for that.
Okay.
So I do think that I was the sickest that I've ever been, but I do think a lot of what was also getting into my head is like the media hype.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Ooh, I
so,
would
like,
have
you see
totally
on social
shut
media
that off.
all the people, and like, there's like young people that are like, it can happen to you too. I'm 22 and I'm on a ventilator, and you're like, oh.
See, we haven't heard a lot of that though.
Well,
like we haven't seen a lot of that.
No, it's starting to come out too.
Is it?
Yeah. Yep. Like they were talking about, like in China, I was listening. I don't know if it was the Joe Rogan podcast that I listened to, but they were talking about how in China it was older people. Or at least that's what they're reporting. And that's another thing, is that China, the numbers that are coming out of China, they're saying like, we don't know if we can trust those numbers or not.
Right.
Right.
But then they were saying that Italy, it's kind of hard to tell, because they're saying like Italy and Spain, like there's younger people, but then smoking is another thing that over there is not frowned upon really.
Right.
So that also doesn't help when you have a respiratory illness, so.
What advice can you give to our listeners on maybe protecting themselves or what to do if they get it? What advice would you like to give?
I think it definitely would depend on the demographic.
Let's talk to the millennials, because I know a lot of the millennials. Yeah, I know a lot of the millennials feel that they
got their tank tops on, they're vaping, they're chilling.
They're like, "What's up? It's not going to kill me. Like, I'm going to go party and do my thing."
I could see him with the striped tank top on with the vape. I was like, it's not happening here.
Yeah, I know that I read an article that says that not millennials necessarily, but like people that are vaping are more susceptible to getting it. But I would say, the thing that helped me the most, or really the only thing that I did, because in urgent care they told me that I was not going to get medicine for it because there's not a lot of medicine, and they're trying to save that for people that are like actually near death.
Right.
So I didn't get medicine. The only thing I got was Ventolin, which is an asthma pump, like an inhaler, to help with the shortness of breath, because I did have some shortness of breath, and Tylenol for the fever. Obviously, I'm sure people have seen the articles that say that don't take Advil.
Right.
So Tylenol is your friend.
Okay, so Advil is not your friend. Did you ask the doctor about that?
Yeah, the doctor said that Advil, it's limited research, but there seems to be research that shows that Advil exacerbates things and makes it worse. Like it actually will lead to complications. So they say that Tylenol is your friend. I forgot what the active ingredient is,
and you know what? Like that is something like we talked about on here last week or the week before. Like the World Health Organization said that they don't have any studies or anything that shows that ibuprofen makes things worse or compounds the effects. But if you can take Tylenol, like they're not saying anything about Tylenol, so just take Tylenol. I would say,
Totally.
just to be safe.
Yeah,
Tylenol is your friend, like you said.
Right. Yes.
My friend works in a emergency room, and she was telling me, because I bought the Tylenol extra strength that is like 8 hours or something, and she said that it's better to take the 500 milligrams. It's 2 tablets, and they come in the little packets, and you take those more frequently. And she says that those are better just because of the way that you're spreading, I don't know, the intake, the coverage, into your body. Right.
There you go.
Yeah.
And I do agree. I do think that when I switched over and then when I switched back, I did notice that taking the 2 pills, although a lower dosage, since I was taking it more frequently, it helped with the fever and the body ache.
Gotcha.
But I do think that if you drink a lot of tea, just to answer your question from before, if you drink a lot of tea and eat a lot of those like vegetables that are supposed to boost your immune system and take a multivitamin, and that's what really helped me because I didn't have any medicine. So that was kind of like all I had. And at some, like I said, I had people dropping groceries off. So at some point I didn't even have groceries. Like I had frozen pizzas because I'm 28 and apparently a bachelor.
That's funny.
Hey, we got frozen pizzas too.
Right, but they're not ours.
I'm almost 10 years
older.
older.
They're for my children, not for our children.
What about the one you were eating 2 days ago and last night?
Hey,
right.
Exactly.
That wasn't frozen. We bought that at Costco.
All right, whatever.
Anyways, Lyssette, I think I interrupted you when I was asking you what was the one, advice or what's some advice that you can give to, the millennials. I didn't allow you to finish that.
Well, if they're a millennial like me, then they're surviving off ramen and like frozen nuggets. I don't know.
That's who took all the
like
ramen
not a lot
noodles.
left in supermarkets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like there's just not a lot in the supermarket. So there's the stuff that's left is like, I don't know, like frozen foods. So I have a lot of frozen foods and not a lot of like other stuff.
Right.
So at some point I was just like boiling water and squeezing a lemon and honey into it because your throat, since it's such a dry cough, your throat starts to feel like it's going to start bleeding. So that soothes it.
Man.
But
yeah.